Northern pike remain active all winter long, and catching them through the ice is a lot of fun. In just a few minutes, Judy Nugent takes us ice fishing for northerns on Delavan Lake with guide John Reddy. And then we'll turn the clock back to 1989 as Nancy Frank joins Todd Durian to band some red-tailed hawks. But first, I'll take you out on Lake Michigan with Dumper Dan's Sport Fishing Charters of Sheboygan and the Balestrieri family, high bidders at the Outdoor Wisconsin Banquet. I'm Dan Small, and it's time once again for Outdoor Wisconsin.
Summer to fall, winter to spring, from Green Bay to where the St. Croix sings, from Kettle Moraine to Superior Shore, Outdoor Wisconsin, Outdoor Wisconsin.
The last time we fished in here, a couple of the plugs we got on the lines right now were really good. We had a green gold that was really good, Mylar plug, lightning lure. A couple of the spoons, the Magnum PKs and the Stinger spoons were real good for kings in here. But fish in here kind of come and go, so you gotta kind of be versatile, like you said, and be ready to go with your starting lineup when they come back in here. So we're gonna start with what we used last time and go from there. You and I, Dan, have caught a lot of fish in front of the harbor in the last 15 years fishing together.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know.
A lot of good shows.
Our special guests today are the Balestrieris. Ken Balestrieri bought this this outing at our banquet.
Correct. Yeah.
Last February, and gosh, this is what, the 6th or 7th time we fished together?
Yeah, how many times have you been on, Jess?
I think maybe 5.
Yeah, and we've caught fish every time so far.
Definitely.
So you bring us good luck.
Hey, I like it.
There he is, he's banging right in front of you, right here. Whoa. You're up. Wow, that didn't take long, huh, guys?
Probably
all right.
okay.
We're going to lean you right against the back of the boat. Your
May
first skip right embraced here.
balance
issues right here to take it in by ourselves. Yeah. Put your left hand right here. You're going to have to face the fish, kind of, okay? This is going to be a bigger fish, so face the fish, put the rod butt right there. Okay, and put your hand on the reel. On the reel itself, right there, okay? You got it? I'm going to let go. You got it? Okay. That's a nice big king salmon right there. Okay, what we're going to do is just steady crank, just a steady crank. Just a nice crank once you work.
What do you think, Alex? Sister's going for it. Yeah. 5 minutes into the water. We got it. Yeah? Pretty cool, huh? Keep cranking, Jess.
You don't want to jerk a lot, just nice steady pull, just steady reel. See back there? Stop reeling when he fights. Stop reeling. When he fights, stop reeling, and then when he settles down again, then you start reeling again. Kind of play him out. They're real aggressive, so you gotta let him fight a little bit. And when he tires out, you start cranking again. Good job, Jess.
I got the pole. Great job.
Now you go to sleep.
Welly, how'd that feel?
Like hard.
Well, the action's already starting here off Sheboygan. The sun is just peeking over the horizon, and Jessica Balestrieri caught a nice king. This is a 4-year-old king salmon. We're out today with Dumper Dan Sport Fishing Charters with Captain Dumper Dan and his first mate, Russell Gahagan. And Russell, this is a nice fish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a gorgeous 4-year-old king, probably 12, 13 pounds. As Dan said, we had 5, 6 rods in the water, maybe fish in 5 minutes, and this one hit. We got them in the boat. We're gonna see if we can get a few more.
All right, sounds like a plan. Good job.
Way to go, Jess.
Well, Dan, it's almost September, and the fish are starting to come in close, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. We're starting to get some 4-year-old size class salmon here in the front of the Sheboygan Harbor. It's kind of our pivotal time of year where we go from deep water fishing and then come in here and start targeting some of the bigger 4-year-old salmon in the fall. So we're hoping for that, and we already got a fish right away, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah, good start.
Well, this is Jessica's big day, I think, because she brought that fish in all by herself. This is the first trip. So we're going to celebrate after we get off the boat.
It's called breakfast.
Big breakfast.
It's kind of neat that your sister catches big salmon, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gonna beat her?
Yeah, probably.
Gonna try.
I'm thinking.
Gonna try.
No, the real just like what is it? But then I just like holding on to it.
Yeah. Cool.
Hello.
There you go.
Just hold it nice and steady, nice and steady. This is coming in quick, Russell. This is not going to be good, guys. He's off the green yet. We want him to run. Stop reeling for a minute. Just stop reeling. Slow her down for you. Where is he? He's down deep though, huh?
Fine.
Okay.
Real.
Reel down. Slow.
I got him.
All right, good job, Russell. That's what we would call a jack salmon, just a smaller version of a fall spawning salmon.
Well, that happened quickly.
2 bites that passed though. We lost one on the planer board coming through there, and then we popped this one on a downrigger. Nice fish.
Nice looking fish.
Oh, well,
That is a nice looking fish.
good eating size.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job on that one. Let's get him in the box and try to catch another one.
Yep.
Awesome.
There you go, buddy.
Now don't step in the...
Ahead.
Keep a little bit of bend in the rod yet though. A little bit.
It wasn't long before we had another hit. Jessica decided to help her dad out with this one.
He hit hard too, right?
Awesome. You gotta hold this. Camera, get up here. That's a big.
Oh, look at
Oh
that!
my God.
Nice big 13, 14 pound king.
in there.
Let me get the bait out. Michigan Stinger spoon, we caught that on, green and glow.
Awesome. Look at
Good
that.
color for the harbor, for the dirty water.
The other hand, hold it up. Awesome. Way to go, Jess. Woo. Smile at the camera. There you go. Well, Alex, you got a chore here. You need to catch something big.
Slide him up. Nope, stop. Now slide right now.
All right, got him.
That's a beauty.
Way to go, Alex. Yeah, your sister catches the big ones, but you catch the better eating size.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that. Let's get him in the box.
Nice fish.
Ours is still bigger.
Oh, we got 2 on at one time, guys. Who's up?
Oh, now we got our hands full.
All right, yep, and you're gonna have to go over the top of
Yep,
her.
yep. You got 2 on at once, like it's a bit of a circus. Got him.
Yeah. What is it with me and big fish?
I don't know, but
Watch out, hide, slide. Okay, go slide, yep.
Oh my God.
Up. One more time.
I got him.
All right, Jess. Let's just see here now.
we'd have to wait both of them.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're close.
I think mine's a little longer. I don't know whose is heavier. But you got me
This
beat.
one's pretty heavy.
You got me beat on poundage so far. All those fish. That's 3 you caught now. Let's get these guys in the box. I'll bet there's more out there.
Yep.
What do you think, Alex?
Sure enough, there were more fish to be had. Well, Alex, you did a great job on that one. A trio of fish for you and 3 for your sister. I'd say another great day.
Yeah.
Ken, we had a good time. A lot of fast action today.
Definitely.
Great.
A lot of fast action.
And some real classy boat work by Dumper Dan to get that fish that really ran on us. Well, Ken, thanks a lot for buying this trip at our banquet last year. And
Thank you for bringing us.
you bet. We always have good luck and a good time here with Dumper Dan. Northern pike remain active all winter long, and they're voracious feeders, which makes them a favorite target of ice fishermen. Let's join Judy Nugent and guide John Reddy on Delavan Lake as they show us how to catch northerns through the ice with tip-ups.
We're actually in a gravelly area, and the pike come in here and spawn every February. You start moving in here.
And this is the time of year you need to fish them, late February?
Yes, the last 3 weeks of February, then the game fish season closes on most inland lakes the first weekend in March. So the last 3-4 weekends or weeks of the game fish season are really good.
All right, because they're spawning under the ice, or
Yes.
March 15th? Or?
Yeah, they actually, as soon as we have a few runoff events and the days get a little longer, that triggers the pike to come in the shallows and start to spawn. And a lot of the time you really don't see pike on beds. A lot of the time they're done spawning by the time the ice is off the lake. So.
All right, so perfect time. All right, well, we'll see if it works today.
All right. Nice to get a 40. That's my goal today, is get a 40. Feels like the wind died down a little bit.
John, why don't you tell me about this rig?
Well, what this is actually an automatic fisherman. And what it is it's like a tip-up or a dead stick rig where you can actually set the hook and fight the fish on a fishing rod. So a little more fun to it than hand over hand like on a regular tip-up.
Okay.
But I'll kind of show you how this works. I'm using a big shiner on this rig. And the way I tie my northern pike rigs up, I actually use a little bit of a bead for color there. And I put a little split shot for weight, and then I put a little spinner blade on there. So as that fish is swimming around, a little bit of
flash.
Added attraction, yeah, some flash there. And the water clarity is actually pretty good, so I'm going with a natural color bead, like a bluish silver bead.
Okay.
And I'll show you how this works. And we're fishing really shallow, so we don't have to go very far down. And this part here is actually, it looks like a bobber, but you actually put antifreeze inside this, and it keeps your line from freezing into the hole.
Now, how do you get that tension where it's...
Well, what you do is you put your rod tip right on this little clip right there. It's kind of a hair trigger, just like that.
Oh, all right.
Windy days are a little tough getting this to stay. Just like that. And this slip bobber up here, midway, is actually a slack line.
Okay.
So when the fish pulls pulls, it gives them a little bit of time to run with it. And when that bobber hits that guide, the rod's going to release and set the hook on the fish.
Okay.
And I have my drag set light enough where he can pull line out.
Oh, I was going to say, so it's not an open drag?
Nope, not an open bail. Not an open bail.
Okay. All right, well, it'd be fun to fight one on a rod. I hope this one trips.
Yeah, it punches the fun factor way up.
All right.
Well, it was spinning, Judy. I think there's something there. Usually pull a little bit of line out, just a little bit of play. Yeah, there he is.
Ooh. There's a head. Oh, careful. You're hooked there.
Yeah.
Hey! Nice, Northern. I know they get a lot bigger, but it's a good start.
Yeah, they're already getting a few spawning marks there.
All right, well, we'll get her back in the water and try it again. This is good. Not bad for a raw February day.
Young guy.
It's a young one? Not bad. Well, we'll get her back in the water and set up another rig. There it goes. All right, well, we'll set this and hope our luck holds. Okay. Well, John, it was a little bit slow today, but we got one despite the weather and everything else. It was fun.
Yeah, it's actually been a really hot bite out here, and the guys pan fishing have seen pike swimming underneath the hole, so they're here. It's just I think a little bit of lockjaw today.
Okay. Well, what's on the horizon for you?
Well, the next 3 weeks, the game fish season is open, and the pike bite's going to be hot as ever. And after that, the ice out crappie bluegill season is going to be heating up too. They've already started to move into the shallows. So.
All right, so you'll start booking clients pretty soon, huh?
Yep. So I'm looking forward to the open water, and that's probably within a month from now. So.
I'm looking forward to 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks for taking me out today. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Each week again this season, we'll feature a segment from one of our earlier years. This week, we turn the clock back to 1989. Nancy Frank joins Todd Durian as he bands some red-tailed hawks.
Todd Durian is a raptor researcher who's doing some work with red-tailed hawks within the city limits of Milwaukee. Last spring we were out with Todd and we looked at some nestlings and banded them for inclusion in the research study. Todd, what is it that you'll be doing with these adult birds?
Okay, part of the study is to determine, first of all, what population of red-tails we have here in Milwaukee County. How many birds are there out there that are resident and breeding in Milwaukee County? Now, in order to do that, we have to do a number of road surveys for nest sites, but we also want to find out what the fidelity at the nest sites are. Do these birds return to the same nest site every year? Do they breed? Do they have a lifelong pair bond? Is the pair fidelity also lifelong? And in order to determine that, we need to mark the birds in some way. So the birds are live trapped using a Balestrieri, which is a hardware cloth trap. We have them in a number of different colors to accommodate the different seasons. What it is a wire mesh trap with monofilament line nooses on it, and a mouse goes inside the chamber. When the hawk comes down to capture the mouse, it gets its talon caught in one of these nooses. We then quickly retrieve the bird from the trap, and in order to alleviate some of the stress that the bird might go through, we put a hood on the bird. It's a leather device that's used essentially to blind the bird, and this alleviates the stress and makes the handling go much smoother on both the bander and the bird. The birds are then banded with United States Fish and Wildlife serially numbered bands, and also an auxiliary marker. Now, this auxiliary marker is just another band. It's got its own individual number on it, and this is essentially how we name each individual bird. And then by going back out and monitoring and observing which birds are coming to which various nests and various perches within certain territories, we can determine what the fidelities are.
Can you read these auxiliary bands from a distance?
Yes, these auxiliary markers can be read from about 100 yards away with about a 25 powered spotting scope. And in the wintertime, the feathers are covering it, so it's pretty difficult to see. But during the breeding season, they're going to be quite easy to pick out.
And you'll be depending on people in the area to be looking for these bands?
Yes, if anybody should see a red-tailed hawk in the Milwaukee County area, I would greatly appreciate it if you could contact me at my home phone, which is 535-0045, and let me know what number you saw. Now, when you're reading the band or the marker, you always read the top number first, and then the bottom number, as the band is resting on the bird's talon.
Now, who will use the information once you've completed your research?
Well, this research can be used by a number of people: land use planners, wildlife managers, etc. The reason I chose the red-tailed hawk is they're a common buteo. They're moving into the urban areas. We're seeing more sightings of them. It's not a matter of the birds were here and we're pushing them out. The city has developed now to a point where there's some stabilization, and the birds are finding some habitat available to them in the urban areas. And I think this is quite unique that we've got these species adapting, and I think they can be used as a good indicator as to the quality of the environment.
Are there specific points in your data that you're looking for?
Yes, as the red-tailed hawk adapts to the urban environment, we're finding them in areas that have high amounts of human activity, even around the nest sites. And the rural studies have been conducted, essentially show them to be a very seclusive bird, shy bird, and they do haze quite easily by human presence. But in the urban areas now, we're finding that to be just the opposite. So we will be looking at the distance of these nest sites and roost sites of these birds from roads, buildings, and other areas that have high amounts of human activity.
And you feel that those are changing within the species?
The red-tailed hawk, yes, it's a behavioral change as they adapt. If they're going to live in the urban environment, they have to learn to be less afraid and less fearful of humans. They're a predator at the top of their food chain. They feed on a wide variety of things, such as meadow voles, which is their primary food source, but also we found up in the nest last year such things as young raccoons and young woodchucks and a variety of other mammals, and of course there's a role between the predator and prey in which they help keep the balance and healthy populations amongst one another. We will be primarily looking at reasons that might cause these populations to fluctuate once we've determined what the actual population is, whether it be man-caused or just natural occurrence between the prey and predator relationships.
Now, when you're marking these birds, what other measurements do you take? Are there any tests that you actually do in the field?
Yes, one of the tests that we are doing, we hope to be taking blood this year from some of the young birds for lead analysis. We also are doing what we call a cloacal probe of the birds. It's a Q-tip swab, which is inserted into the cloaca of the bird to get a small fecal sample, and this is then put inside of a transport media and then sent to the lab in Madison for analysis of the Lyme disease spirochete.
Where will you publish the information that you come up with, and how long will it take you to complete your research?
Right now I'm looking at 5 years at least to gather as much initial information as possible. And after that, I don't know. If I've accumulated enough data, something will be published. There may be something published in between that time, depending on what we find out. We're seeing some real interesting things in the birds. It'll be published in hopefully ornithological journals, various magazines in the area that anybody who's interested, essentially, in publishing the research.
Are there comparable studies going on in other urban areas or in rural areas to compare the data?
Yes, this will be compared to rural studies that Peterson did back in the 1970s as far as behavioral changes, territorial size changes will be in the urban area will be compared to rural studies. I'm sure there are other researchers, raptor researchers, doing urban studies, but nothing's been published right now, and that's why I think it's unique also. The urban population of wildlife in general is increasing, and I think we need to start getting a handle on it and learning more about it.
So here in Wisconsin, you're actually pioneering something that's essentially new to the field.
Yes.
It's good that we're able to add to the bank of resource material available. Thanks for joining us.
The Madison Fishing Expo runs from February 24th through the 26th at the Alliant Energy Center. And I'll be there all weekend with Brad Karstedt and his hydrojet-powered canoe. So stop by and say hello. For more on the expo or this week's features, visit mptv.org and follow the prompts to Outdoor Wisconsin. Well, next time, Brad Karstedt and I head up to Sturgeon Bay to ice fish for whitefish with guide Dale Stroshine. Debbie Wolniak talks with Joan Leidy about her efforts to monitor wood ducks and songbirds on her property. And we'll turn the clock back to 1999 as Claudia Luz visits Wind Point Lighthouse with historian Michael Cooper. I'm Dan Small. Join us again next week for Outdoor Wisconsin.
Flash of a whitetail moving through the pine, the long vowl of the owl in the evening, loon on the lake, a muskie on the line, outdoor Wisconsin. Free yourself like an eagle in the air, feed yourself like a bear in the blackberry, like a hawk, a perch and stare, outdoor Wisconsin. When the work in life is way too much, when you're in too deep and way out of touch, lace up your boots, get out of town, take a walk in the wild, or sit down and listen. Listen to the sounds of the critters of the night, the wind in the leaves and the little river run, coyote brother howling in the full moonlight, outdoor Wisconsin. Hike, fish, hunt, camp, sail, canoe, ski, photograph, laugh, do what you want to. Stick your nose where the wild rose grows, out